All right, we are back with another episode here. Part 3 of Napoleon in Italy. The Battle of Bassano, I think that's how you say it. So again, yeah, we've seen last couple episodes, Napoleon just has these techniques and the tactical genius to outsmart his opponents pretty much regularly. I mean, it doesn't seem like he's had too much trouble so far. Again, that it's hard to say whether or not someone can outsmart him or someone does. Austrians so far have not had much luck in that regard. So I'm excited to see this continue and see what we can find out about Napoleon. Again, thank you to Epic History TV and PMF Productions for this.
In 1796, at the height of the French Revolutionary Wars, a young French general took charge of a ragged, demoralized army in northern Italy. It was his first command. Many expected him to fail. Instead, in just 1 month, he won his first brilliant campaign. With astonishing self-confidence, boldness and energy, he led his army to victory after victory, transforming the war in Europe, winning praise from a grateful republic, and forging a legend. This is the story of Napoleon Bonaparte's first campaign, and the dawn of a new age.
Right. All right, part 3. Here we go.
August 1796. The war between France's infant republic and the coalition seems to be tipping in France's favor. In the Vendée, General Hoche has brought the 3-year royalist revolt to an end. This appalling civil war has cost an estimated 165,000 lives and is the bloodiest chapter of the French Revolution. Bourbon Spain allies with France. They will combine forces against their common enemy, Great Britain. In Germany, the armies of General Jourdan and General Moreau have crossed the Rhine and are advancing on Vienna. While in Italy, Napoleon's stunning victory at Castiglione has sent the Austrians scurrying back to the Tyrol. Napoleon can now resume his siege of Mantua, the key to Italy. But he'll have to start over. The Austrians have used the interlude to drag away his heavy guns and demolish his siege works. In summer, the pestilential marshes that surround the city are lethal.
Ew.
The Austrian garrison has been decimated by disease, mostly malaria. General Serrurier, commanding the French siege, also contracts the disease. He returns to France to recover and is replaced by General Sauge. Sickness and a shortage of equipment once more plague the French army in Italy. Even the heroic General Massena asks to be replaced, citing ill health and exhaustion.
Okay.
Napoleon rejects his request.
Nope, never mind.
Despite these problems, the Directory in Paris orders Napoleon to attack as part of a grand strategic offensive against Austria. He is to break through to Innsbruck, join forces with Moreau's Army of the Rhine, then together invade Austria and force Emperor Francis to sue for peace. Napoleon faces an enemy of roughly equal size. So he plans to use speed and concentration of force to fall upon Austrian troops in the Adige Valley and clear the path northwards. His opponent, Austrian Field Marshal von Wurmser, is under immense pressure to relieve Mantua.
I suppose, yeah.
His staff believe that recent fighting has left the French army shattered and incapable of offensive operations. So the Austrians plan to make their own advance. Rather than try to force his way past French troops in the Adige Valley, Wurmser will keep Davidovich in a defensive role, while he leads a wide outflanking march via the Brenta Valley and Bassano to reach Mantua from the east.
Wow, that's a
There
long
he
journey.
will link up with its garrison. And when Napoleon comes south to face him, he will be caught between two Austrian armies. This video is sponsored by Curiosity Stream, the best place to discover.
Turn that down a bit. Sponsor spot goes on for Epic History. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a plan. I mean, I doubt it's going to go how that guy wants it to. I mean, Napoleon's smart, so I'm sure he'll figure something out. I did have Curiosity Stream for a while too. I actually do like this. They have a lot of documentaries on just tons of stuff. I don't really skip the sponsor spots for these because it's like we're watching Epic History TV's content, so I think, you know, their sponsors can get a spot here too.
Go to curiositystream.com/epiccuriosity or scan the QR code for unlimited access to the world's top documentaries and non-fiction series. Use promo code EPICCuriosity.
You also might hear my daughter in the background. Sorry about that.
One of the best deals in streaming. So click the link below or go to curiositystream.com/epiccuriosity and save 25% now.
Nice.
Thanks to Curiosity Stream.
Good job, Curiosity Stream. I doubt if Bonaparte had had command of the Austrian forces, he could have contrived it better for his own purposes. Colonel Graham, British observer with Austrian army. Okay. So, I guess we'll get to see what Napoleon's plan is here, and, you know, what he can come up with in his brilliant mind he has already, and at such a young age, too.
The Austrians begin their advance on the 1st of September. French forces begin their advance the following day. Massena pushes up the Adige Valley, with Augereau taking a tougher, mountainous route on his right. General Vaubois marches around Lake Garda to join them, with one brigade crossing by boat. The forward Austrian outposts are driven in, and by the 4th, 3 French divisions are converging on Davidovich's heavily outnumbered force near Rovereto. General Victor leads the main attack straight up the road, driving back the enemy center. Meanwhile, French light infantry swarm up the sides of the valley to outflank the enemy.
Okay.
It's a tactic the French will use again and again to force the Austrians out of strong positions in the narrow passes.
Yep.
The Austrians are driven up the valley towards Davidovich's main camp at Calliano. As Napoleon remarks, this position should have been impregnable. Sheer mountains either side of a valley floor that's just a few hundred yards wide. A small castle and wall add to the formidable natural defenses.
Okay.
But its defense has been left to a single, shaken Austrian regiment, which is given no time to prepare.
Yeah.
When the French hit them with speed and numbers, they give way.
Wow.
Massena's troops break through to the main Austrian camp, where soldiers, expecting a much longer respite, are preparing dinner. The arrival of the French sparks chaos and confusion. The Austrian escape route is immediately jammed with fleeing troops, wagons and guns. The French round up around 3,000 prisoners, alongside 25 guns and 7 standards.
I mean, it just keeps showing, doesn't it? Like they were saying, the speed at which the French can do this is overwhelming. It's the Austrians are sitting down to eat dinner. They didn't know what was going on. I mean, to them, it's like a storm cloud, just smashed right into them. And obviously in this terrain, I mean, this is in the mountains. I can just kind of tell from like this artwork anyway. There's not a lot of road. I mean, there's roads, but there's not a lot of areas to flee in multiple directions, right? If your enemy is coming at you from the south here on the road, I mean, you can only flee. You can't flee into the mountain. How are you going to bring your caravans up the mountain? How are you going to bring like your cannon, stuff like that? You have to take roads, and if everybody's heading to the road together, just like kind of parallels modern day, traffic and stuff. It's like you just traffic jam. It's just everybody's bogged up. Nobody can flee. There's no order. It's all chaos. And even if they can flee, it's not like the French can't catch them. I mean, we've seen time and time again, the French are really fast.
Napoleon had thought that he faced the whole Austrian army around Trento. But now, speaking with prisoners and locals, he learns that Wurmser and half his army have set off down the Brenta Valley. Destination unknown. With typical speed and decisiveness, Napoleon tears up the plan to join Moreau at Innsbruck and orders a pursuit. If he can catch and destroy Wurmser before he reaches safety, the war in Italy will be won.
On the 8th, I shall be at Bassano. If the enemy awaits for me, there will be a battle which will decide the fate of this whole country. Napoleon to the Directory. Yeah, I mean, and I don't think he's going to have a problem catching them. I'm just guessing, just from the way I've seen the last couple episodes in this one, Austrians don't really move with purpose in the same way that the French do. They kind of, they're like molasses, like just slow, steady. Well, I wouldn't even say steady, actually, because they kind of just gave up a little bit in the previous battle. So we'll see if Napoleon can catch up to him.
When Wurmser receives news of the fiasco at Calliano, his troops are already strung out along the Brenta Valley, with his vanguard approaching Vicenza. There is nothing to gain by turning back. He orders Davidovich to hold the passes north, assuming they are Napoleon's objective, and pushes on to Mantua. But Napoleon is not going north. He orders Vaubois to pursue Davidovich and keep him blocked in, while Augereau's division leads the rest of the army down the narrow, funnel-like Brenta Valley in pursuit of the Austrians. The army of Italy is brimming with confidence and momentum, and marches much faster than the Austrians.
Yep.
A small force at Levico offers token resistance before it's bundled down the Brenta Valley. The next day, French light infantry rout a 3,000-strong Austrian rearguard at Primulano, taking most of them prisoner. Wurmser decides to make another stand at Bassano, where the valley opens into flat plains. With Colonel Lannes leading the charge, the Austrians are driven back, then chased into town by Murat's cavalry. Amid panic, chaos, and blocked roads, the French take another 2,000 prisoners, including an Austrian general and 30 guns.
That's crazy.
Wurmser is in disarray, down to 12,000 men, outnumbered 2-1, with part of his force retreating in the wrong direction towards Trieste. His only hope is to reach Mantua. The two armies are in a foot race, but for the first time in the campaign, Austrian soldiers outmarch their exhausted French counterparts.
Wow, that's surprising. I guess maybe not really.
Wurmser leaves a small garrison at the fortress of Legnago to slow Augereau's pursuit. Forging ahead, Massena manages to block the Austrians' path at Cherea. But General Ott makes a determined attack and clears the road, taking 700 French prisoners and 7 guns. It is a rare defeat for Massena. With the help of a local informant, Wurmser then finds an intact, unguarded bridge across the Tiorne River and reaches the outskirts of Mantua on the 13th of September. His army has been saved from destruction by the skin of its teeth.
Yeah, I would say. What soldier could fail to admire the gallant old Wurmser, never depressed by defeat, who, having been hunted from the Brenta to Mantua, now stood in front of the garrison determined to cut his way back? Colonel Ramsey, Weston Phipps. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's, understandably, the French have been pushing very hard, so they're tired. So I guess these Austrians are a little bit more rested. They can march pretty quickly when there's teeth nipping at their heels, I suppose you could say.
Napoleon has failed to prevent Wurmser reaching Mantua. But he knows that if he can bottle him up inside the city, it will put intolerable strain on its supplies. For that reason, Wurmser wants to keep his army outside the city walls, free to maneuver, and, crucially, forage for supplies in the surrounding country. The next morning, as Augereau accepts the surrender of the Austrian garrison at Legnago, Massena tries a surprise attack at Due Castelli. But it's overambitious. His men have not had time to recover from their long march, and the Austrians fight bravely. The following day, Napoleon launches a much larger, coordinated attack. Sauge's division advances on the right. His troops are soon in heavy fighting with Ott's brigade around the Villa La Favorita. Augereau's division, under temporary command of General Bonne, advances along the Mincio River, trying to turn the Austrian right flank. When Wurmser sends reserves for his centre to strengthen both flanks, Massena's concealed division launches its attack. Victor and Rampont lead the way with their veteran demi-brigades. Austrian cavalry hurl themselves at the French, but are beaten off. Heavy fighting rages on the outskirts of Mantua for much of the afternoon. Finally, Wurmser's centre begins to crumble, and the French take San Giorgio. Much of the Austrian right wing is cut off. Many are forced to surrender, while others flee into the lake. With the Austrian line shattered, Wurmser orders his men to fall back to the safety of Mantua's citadel.
Yeah. I'll say this. The Austrians are doing better than they were in previous episodes. They seem like they're fighting hard in a way, and they're organized better. But I don't think it's enough. I think the difference in morale must have been astronomically It must have been just an astronomical difference. I just feel like, though, just hearing what the narrator's saying and watching these, that the French army, despite how much it's been marching and how freaking much ground these guys have covered and how many battles and skirmishes they've waged, that they're more apt to fight harder in a way, I guess, just because, for them it's the glory of battle, and Napoleon obviously egging that on a little bit with his proclamations and stuff. I think the Austrians just seems like they just don't have the fight in them, It's not like they're fighting for something. Does that make sense? Like the French seem like they're fighting for something, like fighting for Napoleon, fighting for the Republic. The Austrians just seem like they're fighting because they have to. And that's a big difference there.
The troops that were to have rescued Mantua are now trapped alongside its garrison. By early October, the French have cut off the city and resumed their siege. Conditions inside Mantua deteriorate rapidly. Disease, wounds, and malnutrition kill, on average, nearly 100 Austrian soldiers every day for 6 weeks.
Jeez.
Civilians are reduced to eating rats and horses. Napoleon, meanwhile, returns to Milan, sending his aide-de-camp, Major Marmont, to Paris to present 22 captured Austrian standards to the Directory. But elsewhere, the war has not been going so well for France.
Uh-oh.
Archduke Charles, younger brother of the Emperor Francis, has defeated General Jourdan's army twice in 2 weeks. It and General Moreau's army of the Rhine are forced to retreat back to the frontier. These setbacks mean Napoleon will get very few of the reinforcements he's so urgently requested. He and his men are exhausted. Many of them are sick. They must contain an enormous and increasingly desperate garrison in Mantua, with the certain knowledge that the Austrians will try again soon to save the city. And there are diplomatic concerns which also trouble Napoleon. In Rome, the Pope stirs animosity against the French, citing their treatment of the Catholic Church in the territories they administer. These now include the Cispadane Republic, formed in part from the Duchy of Modena, which Napoleon has abolished for colluding with the enemy. There is also the lingering threat that Naples may rejoin the war at a critical moment to stab him in the back. So, to secure his southern flank, Napoleon concludes a comprehensive peace treaty with Naples without bothering to consult the Directory.
Wow.
It's actions like this that feed the whispers in Paris. This popular young general's ambition seems limitless. Might he not one day prove a dangerous political player?
Yeah.
But such talk will be moot if Napoleon fails in Italy. That autumn, as Austrian troops march once more to the relief of Mantua, he will face his most skilled opponent yet, Feldzugmeister Joseph Alvinci.
Wow, what a name.
The first man to defeat Napoleon Bonaparte in battle.
What? Wow.
A big thank you to PMF Productions for their help creating this series.
But that guy's name at the end, that was wild. That I'm really looking forward to the next one then, to see how Napoleon, I'm assuming he loses, I guess. I don't know if they were like foreshadowing that, how Napoleon handles that. But yeah, it seems like in this episode, I gotta say, the Austrians are fighting a little harder, but they just still don't have the fight in them that the French do. like the French are fighting for something. They're fighting for an idea of the Republic. Maybe now they're fighting more for Napoleon, I guess you could say. Um, but then, as we see, the other French armies were losing. So, Napoleon can't be everywhere at once. And you kind of have to wonder if Napoleon was in the Rhine, would he have lost? I don't know. I guess we won't know. But it looks like things are getting pretty spicy. The Austrians are holed up in Mantua, running out of food. They got malaria. They're eating rats and horses. I mean, that's just got to be horrible. Not only is it you're running out of food, but you're surrounded by swampy areas. You got mosquitoes everywhere. It's hot. Everybody's sick. It's not a good position to be in. I mean, luckily they do have a fort or like a citadel for defense, but yeah, it's not a good position to be in. Unless they get relief, I think obviously Mantua would fall. Again, not knowing what happens in the next video, I'll probably watch that one here soon, probably today actually. But in kind of closing this out, it is interesting that they brought up that little thing at the end about Napoleon making a peace agreement with Naples without consulting the Directory. Now, if we kind of apply that to modern day, let's say, you're the commander-in-chief of like the U.S., okay? You're the president of the United States, you're the commander-in-chief, and you're at war, okay, with a country. And, there's obviously chain of command, but the realm of treaties and negotiations is not a military thing here, at least in the U.S. now. Obviously, U.S. military commanders do perform diplomacy in a way. They meet with other nations' top military commanders. They hold joint exercises, etc. But they can't conclude a treaty. I mean, that's not the purview of the military. But Napoleon doing that, where he basically puts himself in the driver's seat, like if I'm Napoleon, I'm speaking on behalf of not only the Directory, but of the nation of France, the Republic of France. That's a strong statement, because now if you're the Directory, you're saying, well, like that's us. We're the leaders. We conclude peace. We only we can decide the terms. And now you're kind of wondering, is this General Napoleon, is this guy getting a little too big for his britches? Maybe do we have to watch out for him? There are these probably thoughts going in their head, I'm sure. Although they do like it when he wins. So, you kind of balance that out. It's like, do we scold him or do we say, hey, don't do that again, but also keep winning for us? I don't know. I don't really know much about the Directory or the personalities of the people in the Directory. So, I'm really looking forward to the next episode. This is a really good episode. I think that this is giving me a bit more insight into Napoleon's leadership and his overall abilities. And so far, I've been really impressed. Obviously, history tells us Napoleon was great at his job, or great at this stuff. So, but it's nice to see it kind of more in a more detailed light, and not just an overview. But I appreciate you guys watching along. Anything in the comments, please let me know. If you have any sort of suggestions too for different videos, I might start branching out to and doing 2 videos a day, one Napoleon and one like maybe a different topic of history. So if you have any suggestions, please feel free to say them. And again, thank you to Epic History TV, PMF Productions, everybody who works on the channel. We really appreciate it. Thank you.